Greetings, pie lovers. Today we're talking about the death of the rom-com, and we are drinking
Paris blend tea.
The rom-com has died, officially. We've seen a lot of think pieces about it. It's dead.
Rumors of its demise have been greatly exaggerated.
So we wanted to talk about what is the rom-com, where does it come from, and how can you kill something that is thousands of years in the making in terms of...
We've been telling stories about lovers trying to get together, not having it work out, we're laughing at them, and in the end they make it happen. For a long time! These stories go back to antiquity. In France in the Middle Ages, you start getting all of these ballads, courtly love, these stories of lovers that can't quite make it work. And that pole vaults us right into commedia, street performance. In Italy, the lovers are always the butt of the joke because they can't quite get it to work, but they do. And then Shakespeare just continues that legacy, literally building on very many of those story structures, taking us all the way through to the early days of film. Who doesn't love stories about lovers?
A silent film really revolved around this idea of lovers and their problems.
And then you get into talkies, and It Happened One Night with Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert has some of the most enduring romantic comedy tropes that we still see today. The we have to pretend that we're married, the we're stuck in this car, the hitchhiking together.
The meet cute on taking each other's seats.
Yeah. It's fast-paced and it's fresh and
Stuck in the same hotel room and we don't like each other.
We don't like each other!
Two people who hate each other trapped in a room is my favorite rom-com thing.
Through into the 50s where you have this weird evolution of the rom-com that turns into the sex comedy with no sex.
Sexless bedroom comedy.
Yeah. This day in Rock Hudson, who literally, no sex is happening there, no sex.
Big gay Rock Hudson.
But they were the icons of the age.
And Tony Randall.
Oh my god, Tony
Rock Hudson was always the big hunk of man, and Tony Randall was always the like, but I'm here too, Doris! And such a great comedy, like, threesome. Tony Randall's the OG best friend.
He really is.
The OG best friend was a hapless rich dude.
And then you have, like, the musical version of that, which is, like, the Donald O'Connor, right?
Hey, guys!
And Justin Bartlett kind of plays that role today.
Yeah.
He's always the third wheel.
I mean, it has its roots in, like, Arlecchino, the main comedian. He takes more of stage in Commedia than the lovers do, but he's there, you know? Funny best friend.
Silly one. You still have the spirit of Commedia happening today where you have actors who play not the same role over and over again, but the blonde one, the funny one.
You know what you're getting when you're getting a Matthew McConaughey,
Kate Hudson,
rom-com, or when you're getting a Sandra Bullock rom. Yeah, sometimes you do it for
match
fun.
all of these romantic comedy actors,
but this time, Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I don't like to say that actors are interchangeable, of course they are not, but the way that in which this like death of the rom-com era of rom-coms were so formulaic, and we're just really happy that we're busting out of that now,
yeah,
hopefully.
I mean, when can you use a formula and it feels fresh and exciting, and when does it get stale?
See, Sleepless in Seattle, and I think Nora Ephron is the queen of this, she takes this underlying structure, and Sleepless in Seattle is the idea of two lovers that could miss each other, right, from An Affair to Remember, and layers that in. Or in even You've Got Mail, she was taking from The Shop Around the Corner. So she's taking this, like, classic cinematic formula and playing into your expectations of it while also breaking it in really satisfying moments. The thing she does is she tells women's stories. Like, she tells stories about often women in their early to mid, sometimes late 30s, trying to figure out how to be professional, how to have friends, how to find lovers. Like, there's always an ensemble cast of different women, some of whom are supportive best friends, but they're not always, like, quirky and funny. They're just
real human character.
Yeah. I mean, they're still a little stocky, but they're way more than like the kinds of women you get in There's Something About Mary or American Pie.
Because we can always tell when a movie is made for women, for like the soul and the like existence and enjoyment of women, versus when a movie is made for women, the marketing category.
Yeah, like the shrink it and pink it thing on tech.
Yeah.
Like, just shrink it and pink it. Like, it'll be fine. Women love
that's for
that.
women. I think that really led to a backlash. In the 90s, there were so many rom-coms, and I remember, you know, being a teen growing up and after that and being like, I don't like rom-coms. Because they're
Because
for
who would
women.
those shrunken pinkened?
Yeah.
Who would want
Men
those?
don't.
I love
things?
rom-coms. It's just insulting when you do that.
Or
Yeah.
when that's all there is. When those stop selling, you were
Odds,
saying
we suddenly get these rom-coms that are for men.
Yeah.
There's American Pie. There's Something About Mary. There's Judd Apatow films.
Yeah,
heralded as like a new wave of rom-coms. They're centered around male characters for the most part, and there's definitely, people say raunch. I'm gonna say crudeness of humor that comes through. I mean, for sure, that's a taste level. Some people like crude humor. But when crude is for male and gentle is for women, what's going on there? Not to Commedia it all up, but there is literally a Commedia joke that is Arlecchino wakes up and he's actually having a dream that his dick won't stop growing. He wakes up and it's 3 feet long and he has to go about his day and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and he has to deal with that. Don't tell me that's not crude. But that's the Lotsie. It's not like, oh, this girl put semen in her hair. Semen is funny. It's,
or like she can't stop pooing all over the place.
yeah, it's, oh, people like big dicks. Do they? How big do they like them? This one is so large, I can no longer function. That is hilarious.
Someone please do that.
She saved that bombshell and it was perfect. So where do we go from there?
I think one point I want to make is that these stories have always been told. There's not a sudden death of the rom-com just because there's a death of that particular marketing group that will no longer go to see these particular kinds of overpackaged movies.
One of the movies that I think did so well of moving beyond the horrible rom-com into one that honors the tradition of the rom-com while also doing something fun and new is Obvious Child. And it's about women, and it's about women's stories, and it's about a woman deciding to get an abortion, and she talks to other women. So it's not just her story, but she talks to other women as sounding boards about their abortions. And it's also this, like, lovely romantic story that plays on the sex coming first and the love following, which I think follows to the tradition of the marriage plot with the marriage of convenience, where the marriage starts the plot and then they have to fall in love.
Now in a world where a lot of people don't wait,
don't get married
or don't get married,
whatever it is.
It can be sex that does that fills that plot.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that the beats are still there of the classic marriage plot and rom-com. There's something interesting about the fact that romance has evolved to be a vehicle in general, and this is romance fiction, this is romance as the rom-com, about women's stories. And I find that fascinating. And I guess I just want to leave you with that. It doesn't have to be, but it is an interesting thing to think about culturally. So
Reed elects apply with an army rom-com heroines.
I have an army idea, obviously, but
I
someone
mean,
else wants to say
yeah.
it.
I'm really good at them.
Claudette Colbert gets an army. She gets
Love
a full
her. We
army.
love her.
The character in It Happened One Night?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Claudette, both.
Just Claudette Colbert.
She gets an army.
Yeah.
I would arm her.
Can't decide if I want to elect or read Doris Day.
I want to read her.
Yeah, don't we?
Read
I
Doris
love
Day.
Doris Day.
I do too. I
my
love those
God.
movies. And you showed me, what's it called?
Oh, Down with Love.
Down with Love.
Oh my God, you guys, no. We didn't even talk about Down with Love
Do
because
yourself a favor.
It's
Watch
Down with Love now.
it's like Doris Day Rock Hudson, but played by Renee Zellweger and Ewan McGregor.
I would elect her character in Down with Love.
Yeah, she can handle
Yes.
it. And they made it in the style of those 50s romantic comedies, but they added the sex back in, and it's really great.
Also,
really works.
Ewan McGregor in that film, he's like the opposite of Rock Hudson in that he is not unthreatening. He's a man who loves to get naked on
plaid
stage for the
suits.
reaction. And he wears his little glasses.
Cheers. Cheers to love.